Florida is a fantastic place to move to. What's not to like about it? Beaches, sunshine, warm weather, no state income tax? Yeah! But did you know that as many people who are moving into Florida from other states or retiring to Florida are soon moving back out of Florida? So what's really going on? Why does this keep on happening? It may not be what you want to hear, but it's the truth. So give me a thumbs up. In this video, I'm going to go into depth about why people are leaving the state of Florida in droves and why some are leaving Florida just as fast as they've come in.
I'd like to have a quick conversation with you about who are the boomers expecting to sell their retirement homes to. We have a number of boomer clients in Fort Myers is one of the places, but there's a few other areas in Florida as well who are currently trying to sell their retirement places. Some are single family homes, some are kind of modular trailer type homes, some are condos, and they're all sort of running into the same problem. Their place isn't worth as much as they thought it was, and nobody wants to buy. Many have lowered their price significantly, and they still have no interest and no buyers and no takers, and they're starting to panic because they can't figure out why nobody wants it. So one thing I explain is that the generation coming up behind them to buy their retirement homes in Florida, which would be Generation Jones, they're in between X and Boomer. They, over the last 5 years, our clients in that group who can afford to kind of pre-buy a retirement place, they are not even looking in places like Florida or Arizona. With a couple of exceptions in Arizona, we have had a couple customers buy and look in Arizona. But for the most part, our clients in that Generation Jones group, if they are looking for a retirement home to purchase right now, ahead of their anticipated retirement, they are looking at places like Costa Rica, Panama, Portugal, Mexico. They are not looking at Florida and Arizona. And then you have Gen X. And again, also, the retirement dream of Florida and Arizona, I don't really think is their dream. Also, you know, they're in a different phase of life right now and have different things going on. So they're not looking to say buy a place in Florida. And then you have the villages, which is really interesting. What is it? 350,000 homes in the middle of nowhere, Florida. And who is that going to be? Low income housing at some point? Is it going to be underwater in the future? I don't know. Like, but I wonder too, like, who's going to live in the villages once the boomers are no longer on this earth? So, and then they put their place on the market only to find out that it was not worth the $800,000 that they thought. It was worth more like $560,000, and it's on the market and no one wants it. So suddenly they have this new construction home situation and a home that they were expecting to offload for $800,000 that they can't. And again, just seem completely shocked and oblivious that the market is not what they thought it was. So anyway, that's all for now.
So let me get this straight. Boomers bought into the Florida dream, sold it to each other for decades, drove up the prices, and now they're shocked that younger generations who can't even afford a starter home aren't lining up to buy their overpriced retirement condos in Hurricane Alley? Make it make sense.
Big news in real estate today. Forget the silver tsunami. Baby boomers are not selling their homes. Instead, they're renovating to age in place. Nearly 86% of seniors say they want to stay in their current homes as long as possible. This means millions of homes that younger buyers need are staying off the market, with boomers controlling over 40% of all U.S. homes. This trend is keeping inventory tight in established neighborhoods.
Honestly, this makes sense though. If I had a paid-off house in Florida, low taxes, and my friends all lived nearby, why would I move? Downsizing to what? A smaller house that costs the same and has a 7% mortgage? The math doesn't math. It's just brutal timing for millennials and Gen Z.
Baby boomers are not selling their houses, and this is why. They bought their house 30 years ago, and it's either likely paid off or very close to being paid off, and they paid nothing for it. They're sitting on so much fucking equity. So where do they move? The townhouses and condos that I think in my mind that boomers would downsize into, they just don't exist anymore. And they're pretty much luxury for the most part. And they're expensive. And they have $600, $700, $800 a month in HOAs. They're more expensive than regular houses, so they're going to stay in their paid-off house that they can't maintain and hasn't been updated since the 60s. They're going to stay in their homes until the day that they die.
People keep waiting for some wave of listings like it's 2008 in reverse. It's not happening. No one's underwater. They're sitting on equity and low payments. There's literally no incentive to sell unless life forces them to. That's a totally different market.
They can't sell it, they can't afford it. Florida's housing market fears and rising Florida foreclosures are up 20% and they're climbing. So if you're a homeowner in Tampa or anywhere else in Florida, really, this video is for you. Now, I'm here on location because right now, the beautiful Bay Area is ground zero for something that may be keeping many homeowners up at night: foreclosures. Yep, you heard right. Tampa is officially the foreclosure epicenter of the nation. Now, it's families, retirees, dreams, and hard-earned equity hanging in the balance here. And it's all happening all at the same time right now. These are shocking stats, but real stories behind the headlines and advice to protect yourself as well. So even a glimmer of hope at the end. So give me a thumbs up if you're good with all of this. Now, first off, there are cold, hard facts. According to the latest ATTOM data, that's a top real estate analytics firm, foreclosure filings are spiking nationwide. Now, October 2025, there were 36,766 foreclosure actions all across the United States. But that's a 3% jump in September and a whopping 19% increase from this time last year. Oof. But here's where it gets really personal for Floridians. The state is leading the pack. Florida is clocked at the highest foreclosure rate in the country, one filing per 1,829 homes. And Tampa, that's dominating in the wrong way. Now, out of all major U.S. markets, Tampa, St. Petersburg, and Clearwater is the #1 ranking. 1 out of 1,373 houses here is facing a foreclosure filing last month alone.
This honestly breaks my heart. A lot of these people are retirees who put everything into their Florida home thinking it was their forever plan. Between insurance doubling and property taxes going crazy and HOA fees through the roof, they're getting squeezed from every direction. It's not just numbers on a screen. These are people's lives falling apart.